Hi y'all, and welcome back to my channel. The channel's name, of course, is Speculative Magpie, and my name is Misty. And we are here to do some book reviews today. We're going to do 3 book reviews. These are going to be hopefully smaller, and I won't ramble as much as I normally do. These are ebooks. So I'm going to, talk about each of the ebooks, and I'm going to post them so y'all will know the books that I'm talking about. So we have 2 horror and 1 fantasy novel. This has actually been a really cool month for me because 2 of my favorite authors had releases this month, and all these books share one thing in common. They are the first book in series. So let's get started because we got 3 books to cover, and you know how I am. I talk forever. So the first book that we are going to talk about is called The Sensitives. It's by Rick Wood, book cover type thing right around here. This series has 8 books in it, and I read it for a online Facebook book group kind of thing, and this one was pretty decent. It wasn't that bad. I'm going to read you the synopsis and then we'll talk about it quickly. I bought it outright instead of getting it on Kindle Unlimited because I don't have Kindle Unlimited right now. So you're not crazy, you just see dead things. Oscar is a loser, living with his parents with no ambition and no friends. Enter April and Julian. They, like him, are sensitives, a person who is paranormally gifted. Together, they show Oscar how he could finally do something amazing with his life. Then there's Kaylee. She may be 10 years old, but there's nothing sweet or innocent about her. She reeks of evil, with eyes of fire and a smile that makes hardened police officers run in terror. As Oscar enters a full-on battle with the demon possessing this girl's body, he discovers that the use of his gift will require him to go through more terror and face more evil than he could ever possibly imagine. So this was a short book. I think it was under 200 pages, which was kind of cool, I really enjoyed this book. Oscar was actually someone that I could kind of relate to. He has high anxiety. He's taking medication for it. He's kind of drifting. He feels aimless. And April's this tough, streetwise girl, and Julian's sort of like this, hardened exorcist kind of person. And Julian's gift is that he can find other sensitives, and he's an exorcist. And April's gift is that she's a conduit. She lets demons and ghosts and stuff into her. So they kind of take Oscar under their wings and show him that he can actually have a purpose in life. And it was a pretty decent book. I gave it 4 stars out of it. I enjoyed it. It really wasn't the best thing I've ever read, but I'm definitely going to check out more in this series. There were some really creepy parts. It really wasn't scary. It really wasn't gory. There was some really gross stuff that was kind of implied, but the demons weren't that, they didn't really stand out. It was a succubus and incubus kind of thing, and I felt more sympathy for Oscar. I mean, he just didn't immediately go in and know how to fight these demons. I mean, most of the book is him going, I don't want to be here. I don't want to do this. And the other characters were believable. This is takes place in England, kind of. And yeah, it really was a fun book. It was a good book. Would I recommend it? Yeah. I mean, realize that it's the first book in an 8-book series, but everything kind of like ties up neatly, which I, like. There was no like loose ends. This was like sort of like a monster of the week kind of thing. And I enjoyed it. I'm really glad I read it. Like I said, I'm definitely going to pick up the rest of them. So yeah. And then let's sandwich the fantasy in between the two horrors. So the next one is Juniper Wiles. Newford book 21, and it's written by Charles Lint, my all-time favorite author. Now, let's read the synopsis, and then I want to talk a little bit about this book, okay? Juniper Wiles once starred as a plucky teen detective in the popular TV show Nora Constantine. When the series ended 7 years ago, Juniper made the decision to leave LA and return home to Newford, Canada, where she joined friends at an artist collective, Brammerlyha, the center of which her pal, beloved fairy artist, Jilly Coppercorn. Now, out of the blue, the fictional world of Nora Constantine is bleeding into Newford, starting with the inexplicable murder of a young man. Juniper may have wanted to leave her role as a detective behind, but when she's accosted by the ghost of that young man, everything changes. To solve this crime will require all the skills she learned training for Nora Constantine, and the effervescent Jilly, always up for a new adventure, is ready to come along for the ride. Now, I love this book. I gave it a 5 out of 5 stars. I'm the first one willing to admit that I'm biased, okay? I love Charles Lint. But I am not sure that anybody that hasn't already read him is going to enjoy this book. This book deals heavily in the world that he has already created. While the story is new and the main character is new, everything else going on in that story has been talked about in other places. So like Jilly Coppercorn, all of her family, Newford, everything. Newford is actually not a real place in Canada. It's, a town that Charles Lint made up to set his stories in. When he's not writing, they take place in Ottawa. And so there's that. The good thing about the book is if you go in it as Juniper. So all this extra stuff that's happening, she's learning about it at the same time you are learning about it. But I think it might be a little much for people that, like I said, aren't already part of his world, kind of, and know what's going on. Because Charles Lint writes all about these, like, other dimensions that he deems fairy world. So when he, like, takes it to the next level, and you actually go into, spoilers, kind of, the fictional world that the Nora Constantine TV show in this book was, made up of. It's actually a pocket dimension, and all the bad stuff there, Juniper and Jilly and the rest of the group have to fight in that kind of pocket dimension. And if you don't already know where Charles Lint is coming from, I really don't know if you would enjoy the book. I love the characters. I loved Juniper. I thought it was really funny because Charles Lint makes it really pretty clear that he is not a fan of fan fiction. Pretty clear in here. I was laughing. It was hysterical. But, I understand. Fan fiction is its own thing, love it or hate it, and a lot of people don't like it, especially authors. But yeah, I liked it. I really enjoy Charles Lint's world, and I love his Newford series books. This is the first book in a new series that he's going to start. His version of paranormal fan fiction these days, not like what he used to write back in the day. Which is the detective, person that's not in not a cop that goes and solves crimes, which I think he had fun with. Just, he's not a big fan of fan fiction. But that's okay, Charles. I understand. All right. Now, the second book, the second new release from one of my favorite authors, Darcy Coates came out with a book called The Whispering Dead, which is the Gravekeeper book number 1. Let's read the synopsis and we'll talk about that one, okay? So, homeless, hunted, and desperate to escape a bitter storm, Kiera takes refuge in an abandoned groundskeeper's cottage. I am sorry, my throat is so dry. Her new home is tucked away at the edge of a cemetery, surrounded on all sides by gravestones, some recent, some hundreds of years old, all suffering from neglect. And in the darkness, she can hear the unquiet dead whispering. The cemetery is alive with faint spectral shapes, led by a woman who died before her time. And Kiera, the only person who can see her, has become her new target. Determined to help put the ghost to rest, Kiera digs into the spirit's past life with the help of unlikely new friends and discovers a history of deception, ill-fated love, and murder. But the past is not as simple as it seems, and Kiera's time is running out. Tangled in a dangerous web, she has to find a way to free the spirit, even if it means her own life in return. Now, this book was a lot of fun. This is obviously the first book in a series, okay? Whereas the, Charles de Lint's book, Juniper, Wiles, and then The Sensitives, those books tied up. If you stopped reading there is literally no loose ends in the thread. The story's done. You could stop there and not pick up the series again. I hope you wouldn't with those 2 books because they're awesome. This one at the end has some stuff that's not resolved. So, and we already have a cover, if not a release date, of the next book that's coming out. So please don't let that stop you from reading this book, because this book was actually really good, really fun, and there was some genuinely creepy stuff in here. That is one of the things that I love so much about Darcy Coates, is she writes ghost stories, and just her ambiance and word usage is just so good. There's like 2 or 3 scenes where I literally gasped, not because it was gross or anything like that, but just because it was so creepy the way she described it. And if you've read a lot of Darcy Coates, admittedly, I've probably read 4 books, not including this one, so I haven't read a lot of her books. But she writes such interesting, quirky characters. Kiera wakes up, she has amnesia. She doesn't know what happened to her before she woke up in the woods. All she knows is these people are after her. So she goes and hides. And she runs into this priest. And this priest is awesome. I love him so much. He reminds me of like Bilbo Baggins. Seriously, just this, he can put on the bumbling fool act. He can, he's just so sweet. And he gives her the grounds cottage. And then her best friend that, basically latches onto her, Zoe. I would love to have a best friend like Zoe. She's so quirky. She's into conspiracy theories and like everything else. And then of course there's the, the love interest that's just this really sweet, kind of lost, floundering, like med student that helps her with her wounds and everything. It was just a really, really fun book. And the ghost story in here was just so well done and so well thought out. That ghost story is complete, but there's different other like secondary plot things that don't get tied up at the end that I'm really looking forward to seeing how those are brought up in the next book. This one was definitely a 5 out of 5 star read for me. I really love Darcy Coates. I love her characterizations. Again, I'm not quite sure where this book takes place. Darcy Coates does that a lot for me. It's like it could be, overseas. It could be America or Canada or something. It's just, she just sets them in these towns and they're very, like, European, but American. I mean, like, we're talking cobblestone streets here and $20 bills. So, I mean, I don't know where this takes place. It's just a village somewhere. And it was just so much fun. Again, it's a short read. I think under 200 pages. I mean, I read all 3 of these books this past week at work because we've been really slow lately. I'm not in front of my bookshelf because I can't move my chair because my arm is still sore. But yeah, I really enjoyed all 3 of these books. All 3 are great starts to really good series. I believe the Sensitives by Robin Wood is finished. Juniper, Wiles, and the Whispers. I can't even remember. The Whispering Dead are new books in new series, so it's going to be a while before we get a book 2. So yeah, it was a great reading week. Still have some other book reviews to come up that I'm going to do today, but probably won't put out until next week. I'm on vacation this weekend and most of next week, so I don't know how much reading I'm going to get done. So yeah, I might spread out the videos a little bit instead of just releasing them in big old blocks like I normally do. And I knew this was going to be a long video because I had 3 books I wanted to talk about, and I tried to do them really fast. So if you're still around, thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for being here. Come back again so we can talk some more about like some books and things. All right, guys, and I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.